to buy Canelo versus Golovkin at $16.95. Press box office on your Sky remote or visit boxnation.com.
Pimentel of BehindTheGloves.com here with the one and only Jessie Vargas. Jessie, we just got done with the weigh-ins. We saw everybody weigh in tonight. We got Canelo versus Triple G, Randy Caballero versus Diego De La Hoya. We got Ryan Martin making his another pay-per-view showcase fight, and we have Jojo Diaz. Let's talk about the main fight. Let's talk about Canelo versus Triple G. What did you see in the weigh-in? They both weighed in 160. Canelo looks ultra ripped. Triple G looks like his normal self. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, let's update everyone on the latest news that a lot of them don't know. Everyone looking at us from the East Coast, fights are starting early. Tune in early to pay-per-view. Even the main event is going to be earlier than we're used to seeing it.
I believe he is correct. He is actually, the pay-per-view starts at 5 p.m. Pacific time, meaning 8 p.m. Eastern time, when you're used to it actually starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure of that. So
if you're having a barbecue party, let your boys know, let your people know, hey, fight starting early, get here early. That's for sure. We don't want you missing any of the fights because the preliminary fights are actually going to be quite good. You have Joseph Diaz against Rivera. It's a tough fight. Rivera is a tough prospect and contender. I believe he's ranked number 2 by the WBC.
Number 2 or 3, I think.
2 or 3 by the WBC. It's going to be a good fight. He replaced the other opponent that was in line. Jorge Lara, he was hurt, but it's going to be a great fight. I saw them earlier, and they are ready to rip each other's head off. And then you have Caballero versus Diego De La Hoya. Tune in. That's going to be a good fight. 2 young prospects, undefeated prospects that want to take each other out. They have something to prove. And if you saw the weigh-in, you saw them shove each other, push each other, and talk a little bit of smack. So
to me, that's actually a lighter version, even though they're at the same weight class, of Abner Mares versus Leo Santa Cruz. They're pretty much exactly right there. That if you look at Leo versus Mares at a certain point in their career, this is exactly where Randy and Diego are right now.
100%. it would be like De La Hoya and Fernando Vargas. I mean,
agreed.
Caballero being an aggressive fighter and De La Hoya being more of a boxer. So it's going to be entertaining. Tune in early. I'm just letting y'all know, that way y'all can watch some good fights. Coming up to the main event, I see both fighters in the best shape of their career. It's very obvious that they prepared very well for this fight. I cannot pick a winner because it's such a close match. It's an even fight, but it will be interesting. There will be fireworks, and there is possibilities of someone winning by knockout. Big possibilities.
Since you just said you can't pick a winner because it's so close, you being a student of the game, you being a student of boxing, I know you've seen these two kids. I know you've seen Canelo from his rise up. I know you've seen Triple G and the way he's been promoted and risen up in HBO. What are their advantages and disadvantages for one another? Let's first start off with Canelo. What do you think his biggest advantage in this fight?
Canelo's biggest advantage is he's more elusive, he's more versatile. He has different types of styles that he can use come fight time. Whatever he needs, he'll use it. He likes to study his opponent. He's very patient, and he can take a punch. As for and he packs his punch himself. You know, he's fast. I believe that he's going to use a little more. He's going to have better footwork in this fight, and he has more experience. And when it comes to Triple G, he's a bigger puncher. We all know that. He hits like a big truck is coming at you from the looks of it, and he controls his distance very well. Has a very good jab. Once again, power coming from Triple G.
Now, obviously, you said something that most fight fans might look at you weird for, and you said Canelo's footwork. A lot of people have said that Canelo's footwork is kind of cementish. It kind of like stables him down and makes him not as elusive as a lot of people would think he would be. Why do you think that his footwork will be better in this fight compared to other fights?
Because he didn't have to use his footwork back then. Back then, his waist movement, his head movement would get him out of the way. You know what I mean? Just like, you know what I mean? That's all he needed at that time. But I'm sure that he knows that he needs more than just that. He needs to have different arsenals. He needs to have different tools, to his arsenal, and footwork is one of them. Speed is another one. Power is another factor. He needs to have several backup plans just to confuse Triple G.
And going back on Triple G, you said that it's power with Triple G.
If you know the fans know this, then what makes you think that his opponent also doesn't know that? You know, of course, he's going to catch on that and say, you know what, he doesn't have very good leg movement or footwork, so let's base ourselves on that. that'd be a bad idea from Triple G, because you always have to have a backup plan. And yeah, so that's what's up.
As you said with Triple G, it's power, power, power. But even in fights versus, like, let's say David Lemieux, you saw him use his boxing. You said he uses his distance very well. You saw him actually jab and paw, throw a hook when he needed to, and use the power when he needed to. So he actually has more tools in his arsenal than more people give him credit to. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, of course, I mentioned it. The distance and the jab are key for him. That's it. It's just distance, knowing when to come in and out. You can't ask head movement of Triple G.
Yeah.
You can't ask for fast footwork, because he doesn't need it. He doesn't need to be boxing and moving around the way. That's not what he depends on. No head movement. Speed, of course, he's somewhat fast, because sometimes he doesn't throw a punch to knock you out. He just throws it to set up another punch. But basically, he sets up everything else for the power punches. So that's why I say it's power, power, power. Because anything he throws is to prepare the big shot. Just like he did against Rubio. You know, he was just tapping him until he looked for his big shots, and he took them little by little. So that's the same thing he's going to do in this fight. He's going to just look for that big shot, be patient, control his distance, because he's not an inside fighter. So he cannot fight inside. The minute that the fight is in the pocket, it's going to be to Canelo's advantage. At least that's the way I see it. Anything could happen. I could be wrong. You know, I can't predict the future, but I can only tell you what they both do best. So it's going to be interesting.
As you just said, Triple G doesn't fight well on the inside, so that would be his disadvantage. What would be a disadvantage for Canelo?
Letting Triple G control the pace, staying at the distance that Triple G wants to fight, and what else could be a disadvantage for Canelo? Staying stationary. He shouldn't be stationary.
Obviously, Canelo loves to back up and go to the ropes and invite his opponent in. We saw it versus Chavez. We saw it versus Liam Smith. We've seen it pretty much every single fight he fights in. Do you think he will actually do that versus Triple G?
I believe it could be. I mean, when it comes to that, it really depends on the game plan that comes that night. So we'll soon find out.
As Jesse said, he cannot pick a winner. This fight is too close, so tune in on HBO pay-per-view. But before we let Jesse go...
In Spanish.
In Spanish as well.
Entiendes español, if you understand Spanish, if you speak Spanish, tune in to HBO SAP version. Hit the SAP button. It's going to be me alongside my good friend Ricardo Celis, commentating, analyzing the fight, and explaining what's going on, what we see, and what could potentially happen as every round goes by. So tune in. HBO en español, no se la pierdan.
As he said, español, HBO, busquen pay-per-view, el botón de SAP está en el control, ahí lo encuentran. But before we let you go, besides you commentating, any news on you, man? The last time we saw you fight was versus Manny Pacquiao last year. So any news on you, man? Anything up? I know Terrence Crawford wants to move up to 147. I know Jeff Horn and Pacquiao is not going to happen any longer because Pacquiao kind of pulled out. So any news on you, man?
Todavía no, not yet. Thank you. Todavía no, not yet. We are hoping to fight very, very soon, though. I have my advisor working on it right now, and we will be back very soon, God willing. We'll have some big news soon, so please stay informed. Follow me on Instagram, Jessie Vargas _ Jessie with the IE, or on Twitter, Jessie Vargas Boxing. And I appreciate all the support. We'll be back very soon. I promise you this.
And finally, I gotta get this one out of Jesse. Timothy Bradley retired, and I know you were seeking a rematch with him and everything. Just your thoughts on Bradley, his career, his retirement, and just the fact you couldn't get the rematch you wanted.
No problem, man. I mean, I understand. I mean, when you know, I understand when something looks too dangerous. He was just gonna retire, you know, and he retired. Good for him, and I wish him all the best. And you know, some of those punches would do that to you.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your time. Fernando Pimentel for BehindTheGloves.com here with Jessie Vargas saying we'll see you at the fights. Tune in tomorrow, HBO pay-per-view, Canelo versus Triple G. Thanks, man.
Anytime.
Hey, fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. Just before a big fight, I'm often asked, what are the odds? Like, who should I put my money on? Who do you got? It just makes sense for me to tell you guys that you should go visit Bovada. The link is in our description box. Just click it and you'll be directed right over to them. And also, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd appreciate it if you did. Just click right here.